Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here today. My name is Denise. I'm also known as heywigsister on Instagram and Facebook. Today I'm here to bring you a wig comparison. I'm here to talk about Belle Tress Dalgona 16. I have this style in the fully hand-tied cap and the original with a monopart lace front, and the rest is wefted. In this video, I'm also just going to generalize the pros and cons between the more budget-friendly, maybe, wefted wigs that have some cap features versus the more expensive fully hand-tied pieces. So if you want to know more about this, please stick around. So when you go to any retailer website, and I will actually link both of these wigs to Name Brand Wigs in the description in case you do want to go check it out, because Name Brand Wigs originally did send me this one for review, and I did review it a while ago. You'll find that review linked in the description if you'd like to go check out more in-depth details, because I'm really not reviewing these, I'm comparing them. So when you go to a retailer website, you will find that all of the specs on both of these are identical. All the length measurements, the weight measurement, everything is identical. But in reality, this one seems quite a bit longer on me than this one. And not only that, but I did take and weigh both of these, and they don't weigh the same. This one weighed at, I think it was 4.8 ounces, and this one weighed 5.15 ounces. And that is really consistent with how they're feeling on my head. So let's talk about why that might be. So when you get a wefted wig, and let me show this to you. And by the way, if you are new to wig wearing and you don't know any of the terms that I'm referring to, what's wefting, what's monofilament, what's lace front, what's all of that, I have a new wig wearer series. It is 8 episodes long, and I cover everything that I think a person should know if they're going to start wearing wigs. And in the first episode, I cover different fiber types, different cap construction. I give you all that terminology. I'll make sure that video is linked in the description. So on the original, what we're looking at here is a left part. It's called a mono part. Left going over to the right. So think about how you part your hair. That could be limiting for you. You also have a lace front that gives you a natural hairline, and then the rest is open wefted. And by open wefted, I mean there's little holes here between the wefts that theoretically provide additional airflow. But what this also does is give you more bulk, because all of these wefts and all of this material is more bulky than a fully hand-tied cap, and I'll take this one off and I'll show that to you in a moment. So what can happen when you add that extra bulk, the hair is all sewn into a track onto these wefts, versus on this one, each individual strand or maybe a couple of strands are hand-tied into the cap. So when you sew them all together like that, you can get a little bit of shrinkage, I would say. So while the fibers may be the same length starting out, when they're added to the cap, it could maybe be why this one is looking a little shorter than this one. There is also variation from wig to wig. You can get 2 of the exact same pieces, and the curl or wave pattern might be different enough to make them look like different wigs. The color can be different even if they're the same color. There is variation in wigs that could also be playing a role in that. The other thing that you will notice when a wefted cap is on your head versus a hand-tied cap is how flat it looks and feels on a hand-tied cap. There is no permatease or crimpy fibers on the ends of the hair like there can be on wefted wigs. The reason why those crimpy fibers are in there is to help disguise the cap. So if the wind blows a little bit, you're not going to see straight down to cap. That is one of the great risks of a wefted cap. If you get one that is super low density and has no permatease, you may be able to see down to cap if the wind blows your hair a certain way. On a fully hand-tied cap, that's really not a risk, because when I show you, but when you do that, there's just nothing additional, no extra bulk, nothing that's going to help or that's going to make it so that somebody's going to be able to tell that you have a wig on. Let me switch these up for you, and there goes my wig grip. We're just going to scrap it. so that you can see the inside of that other cap, and you can see this one on me. Now I do have pictures, and I will put side-by-side pictures on the end of this video so that you can see how they look different on me. The other thing to keep in mind, video and pictures can only show so much. You often can't see poof and volume in video or pictures. And so sometimes a wig is much more poofy or voluminous in person than they will appear in video. I try to do my best to describe that for you because I know that, so that you know what you're getting yourself into. So first of all, can you tell? I mean, I think the other one went down to here on me. So not only does this look, and neither one of these have been styled, I've just combed through them. Not only is it a little bit shorter, but I think it looks a little bit fuller, just a little bit. It isn't a significant amount, not an overwhelming difference, but I can notice that difference. I can also notice this one feels heavier. You'd be surprised how much just an ounce or half an ounce when it comes to a wig, what a difference that makes in how light a wig feels versus heavy. So here's what I mean by a hand-tied cap. You saw we had the wefting, and maybe I should show them side by side, but you saw the wefting, and this is just all material. Now some people will say that a wefted wig is cooler than a hand-tied wig. One thing to please keep in mind on this journey, we all have opinions, and very few of these things are actual facts. I honestly don't find hand-tied caps to be hotter for the most part. There are always exceptions, but for the most part, when I've had hand-tied wigs, I don't find them to be hotter. This material is so thin and light. You can see my finger right through this. And on a hand-tied, like I said earlier, there's generally never permatease or those crimpy fibers because they're not needed. I think that adds a measure of insulation to the piece. So especially a heavily permateased piece, that's actually acting like a hat on your head, and I do find those to be hotter. The other benefit of this particular comparison, not all, so you may get wigs with wefting that have a full mono top like this instead of just a parting space. But that's not the case on this one. So this one only had that part right there. That means you can only part it right here. If you are a right going over to the left, you're not going to be able to do that. If you're a center parter, you're not going to be able to do that. If you like a more narrow or a more shallow left-hand part, you're pretty limited to that little tiny space. Whereas on this one, you have a full mono top. You can part this anywhere on the top. Anytime you want to, you can change that up. So that's another benefit of a fully hand-tied cap. Typically, all fully hand-tied caps have full monofilament on top. Please always double check though. Manufacturers do funny things sometimes, and it's possible you can get a fully hand-tied cap that only has a small parting space. But generally, most of the ones I've ever seen, or maybe every one, I'm not really remembering if I've ever seen one that didn't have this. So just keep that in mind. The other thing that I find to be true of hand-tied caps like this, you have a lot more styling flexibility because you don't have wefting to work around. If you're someone who likes to put your hair in updos or half up, half down, or you want to do braids with your wigs, you do have to be cautious of the wefting on a wefted wig, and you have to work your way around that wefting so it doesn't show. And it's possible there will be some styles that you will not be able to do because of that wefting. But on a fully hand-tied cap, you don't have to worry about that quite as much, and so you do have a lot more styling flexibility on a hand-tied wig than a wefted. Please don't hear me say that you can't style a wefted wig. You absolutely can. There are just other considerations, and some styles may be more difficult. Now, along with all that styling flexibility and lightness, you are paying a premium price. And I don't talk about price in these videos because you may be watching this 2 years from now and the price may be different. So go check out the price yourself. But there's an over $100 difference between the two of these because this is hand-tied. The amount of time it takes to create one of these is substantially greater than it takes to create one of these. So some of that is the time that you're paying for. So let's summarize this, shall we? If you are someone who parts your hair on the left, I part my hair on the left. That's my preferred parting space. So most mono part wigs work just fine for me. because I do that, but I know some of you part your hair on the right. And so you're frustrated that most mono part wigs don't work for you. In this particular case, if you part your hair anywhere other than on the left, the hand-tied version might be better for you. You will have more parting flexibility. If you're someone who loves to style your wigs and you want the utmost flexibility on styling, the hand-tied version might be your better bet because you're just gonna have more flexibility when it comes to that. If you want a wig that is as flat to the head as possible, you don't want any additional volume at all, the hand-tied wig might be a better bet for you. I don't think the difference is significant. It really isn't. I think it's pretty negligible, but for people who are sensitive to that, you'll notice that a lot more. Just one more look at this one on me. By the way, I didn't mention color. This one is in Bombshell Blonde, and this one is in Butterbeer Blonde. And I will be doing a blonde comparison soon of the Belle Trust, some of the Belle Trust blondes, so you can watch for that. If you get hot in wigs a lot, I really do find this one to be cooler, the hand-tied version. I do find this to be just slightly heavier, slightly more bulky, and I feel like this one is warmer. So if you're looking for a style like this, but you're worried about being really hot, I think you could try the hand-tied version. It just seems to be cooler to me. But that is an opinion, and people differ. So you could have someone else tell you, and you might see it even in the comments, oh no, the wefted one is cooler, I find hand-tied warmer. Some of that is just, you're just gonna have to experience that for yourself. I'm just telling you what I believe to be true for me. So the bottom line is, if you can afford a hand-tied cap, and some of the things that I mentioned as being a pro to this versus this are important to you, then maybe the hand-tied cap is what you should go for. If on the other hand, you don't part your hair differently, you always wear your hair down or minimally styled, and you don't really find wigs to be oppressively hot, I think this one will be just fine. The quality is equally as good. I think they're both beautiful styles. There's just some of those differences, and then you just have to ask if the price point is worth it to get the additional benefits of a hand-tied cap versus a wefted cap. So I don't know what you guys think. I hope this helped. I know that for when you're new to wearing wigs, you have no idea. And so it's always important to try to gain some experience. That can be a little costly with return fees and all of those other things that can sometimes come along with returns, restocking fees, shipping, and all of that. But over time, you will learn what works for you. You'll learn what your preferences are, and you will have less and less of that to deal with. Don't forget, I have my new wig wearer series, and I do Tip Tuesdays almost every Tuesday, where I teach you a wig wearing tip that can help make your journey a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit less frustrating. I hope this helped. Let me know if you have questions. If you have experience with both of these, maybe share your thoughts, because they may not match mine, and that may help a wig sister who reads through the comments. I appreciate you guys so much. I'll talk to you guys in my next video.